Guitar tips, guitar tips, just the tips just for you. Guitar tips. Hello and welcome to another episode of Guitar Tips. My name is Adam Levy. This is my video blog series right here on YouTube. I've been working my way through the alphabet week by week, letter by letter, and here we are. It's time for a tip that begins with Y, and that is this. You are the sound. You are. However much we might be excited about particular strings or guitars or capos or picks or whatever, pedals, amps, the sound begins with you. You decide what the music can sound like, what the music does sound like, what the music will sound like. And I saw a concert last night that really got me thinking about this a whole lot. It was a concert put on by a legendary jazz guitar player named John Pisano. He was celebrating the 22nd anniversary of this guitar night that he's been putting on at different clubs over the years around LA. And so what he did was he put together a house band. He had a bass player and a drummer, and he himself was playing rhythm guitar and also soloing too. But man, his jazz rhythm guitar playing is so special. So if you get a chance to see him in LA or somewhere, do that. Don't miss that opportunity. But anyway, so he brought his own guitar. He has an Eastman signature model. And then on stage next to him was a guitar on a stand. It was plugged into a blackface mid-60s Fender Deluxe Reverb. There were no pedals or anything. It was just a cable. And then there was this beautiful Gibson guitar that looked kind of like an ES-175. It was a hollow body guitar with F-holes, and it just had one pickup in the neck position. And it looked a little thinner than your average ES-175. If you've ever seen one of those, you probably have an idea of what they look like. This looked like a sort of customized version of that. And he said that it was actually a guitar that had belonged to Joe Pass. And so he brought that along and invited all of the guest guitar players who would come up to play that guitar. Now, it was a really beautiful guitar. If you just saw it on the stand, you would be excited. You would want to pick it up and play it too. And over the course of the night, Frank Potenza played that guitar. Bruce Foreman played that guitar. Kelly, Tom Rotella. I'm sure I'm forgetting some names. There was many guest guitar players last night. But what was really interesting is how different each of them sounded without really changing anything else. One of the guys might have dialed up a little more reverb on the amp or a little less, or tweaked the tone knobs just a slight bit, but basically everybody just took the guitar off the stand and came up and played a couple of songs and then handed it off to the next guy. And everybody sounded so like themselves. This was a real kind of proof of this idea that you are the sound. As beautiful as a guitar may be, as special as it may be, what you bring to it, what you bring out of it is the thing that's where music is coming from. It's coming from you, really. So I wanted to just mention that as a kind of anecdotal illustration of this point. But another thing occurred to me today as I was thinking about this. That guitar, I don't know anything about it, but it looked, just from how it looked, like it may have been from the late 80s or early 90s. It was maybe the last guitar that Joe Pass played, toward the end of his career before he passed away. But it's not the guitar that he played throughout his career. I thought about, records that I heard him play on, stuff from the 60s, 70s, all throughout. And he really had a lot of different guitars. I think of Joe Pass in my mind, he's almost always playing a 175, but he had Epiphone guitars over the years. If you look on YouTube, you can find videos of him playing a Fender Jaguar. Sometimes he played a nylon string guitar on some of those virtuoso records. You might hear one or two songs where he's just playing an acoustic nylon string guitar. Joe Pass always sounded like Joe Pass, regardless of what guitar he picked up and played, or what mic they used to record it, or what amp he went through. Over decades of different contexts, he always sounded like Joe Pass. So that's kind of one part of this notion of you are the sound. And the other is like I said, here's this beautiful Joe Pass guitar. It belonged to Joe, but everybody who picked it up didn't automatically sound like Joe Pass. They sounded like themselves. So I just want to remind you, this might be something you've already worked through in your mind. Not to say that instruments don't matter, and picks and strings and all that stuff. Of course it matters. It matters to, it's in the kind of supply chain of your tone, but it's also just part of the stuff we dream of. It's part of the stuff we get excited about and just think about. So, not that gear doesn't matter, but what really matters is you. You are the sound. That is this week's tip from Los Angeles, California. Here I am, Adam Levy. Until next week, stay tuned and take good care.